Chair the Illinois Commission on Discrimination.
I know.
Good morning. My name is Jim Bennett. I'm the director of the Department of Human Rights, and I chair the Illinois Commission on Discrimination and Hate Crimes. The Illinois Human Rights Act was signed into law in 1979 at the Chicago Historical Society on the very desk President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. Through Illinoisans' strong values and unwavering integrity, our state remains a trailblazer in protecting the dignity and equality of every person who calls this state home. Now the Illinois Human Rights Act is one of the most comprehensive and evolving frameworks of civil and human rights protections in our nation. And to be clear, it includes everyone. Our governor has always led on civil rights. In my tenure, he has positioned Illinois as a leader in human rights protections and has expanded protected classes under the Act to meet the challenges of our time, of this time. In 2021, the Commission on Discrimination and Hate Crimes was reestablished and placed under the umbrella of the Department of Human Rights to address, understand, respond to, and prevent the sharp rise in hate. We're national leaders in those issues now as well. And now as we witness our own federal government trample on human rights, creating fear for our neighbors and our families as they go to work or school or church, even to take their sick child to a hospital, champions of human rights have a moral obligation to take action. The Human Rights Act guarantees that every person in Illinois, regardless of immigration status, have the right to live free from harassment, violence, and discrimination. That is why today, Governor Pritzker is signing an executive order establishing the Illinois Commission on Accountability. And this commission, housed within the Illinois Department of Human Rights, will have the administrative and leadership support it needs to succeed, because this is fundamentally a human rights crisis. Now, with the Commission on Accountability, Illinoisans will ensure that transparency and the oversight of these federal actions that we're all witnessing in Illinois. This is about protecting human rights and restoring trust between law enforcement and the communities that they serve. This is about standing up for Illinois values when federal leadership has abandoned the American principles that all of us hold dear. And it is now my honor to introduce a governor who has never wavered in protecting the people in the land of Lincoln, our governor, J.B. Pritzker.
Thank you very much, Jim, and good morning, everyone. It has been over a month since President Trump launched.
Will ensure that transparency and the oversight of these federal actions that we're all witnessing in Illinois. This is about protecting human rights and restoring trust between law enforcement and the communities that they serve. This is about standing up for Illinois values when federal leadership has abandoned the American principles that all of us hold dear. And it is now my honor to introduce a governor who has never wavered in protecting the people in the land of Lincoln, our governor, J.B. Pritzker.
Thank you very much, Jim, and good morning, everyone. It has been over a month since President Trump launched what he calls Operation Midway Blitz. It's a military-style assault on Chicago and our suburbs. In the short time, we have witnessed countless acts of harassment and intimidation and brutality and abuse of power perpetrated against law-abiding civilians across our communities. Trump's masked agents have detained innocent American citizens and legal residents. They have used unmarked cars, a Black Hawk helicopter, automatic weapons, and battering rams to raid an apartment building filled with almost entirely, well, families and children. They've thrown tear gas and smoke grenades at peaceful crowds. Just yesterday, a Chicago alderman said a group of U.S. citizens were detained in Little Village and Cicero, including 2 of his staff members. We've seen this repeatedly, the demand for proof of citizenship without probable cause, with only the victim's skin color as a reason for the confrontations. None of this is about crime or safety. If it were, there would be coordination with local law enforcement and judicial warrants. In any other country, sending masked federal agents to intimidate its own law-abiding residents would be seen as a dangerous overreach and an abuse of power. Under normal circumstances, federal agency supervisors and inspectors general would enforce proper legal procedures and protocols and hold accountable those who violate them. But Donald Trump, Stephen Miller, Kristi Noem, Tom Homan, and Greg Bovino have failed their oaths of office and allowed agents under their command to act unconscionably under the color of law. They have given the impression that their actions are immune from investigation or accountability. They are not. We have a duty to ensure that the truth is preserved so the public can know what their elected and appointed officials have done, and so the courts and the Congress can eventually hold people accountable. And harassment perpetrated upon our people goes unnoticed. Of law breaking or violent and violations of rights needs to be documented and archived. Since this began, I have encouraged the people of Illinois to use their phones and to record everything they are witnessing and post it on social media. But we must now take this a step further and create an official public record. Across the board, President Trump and the federal government have dodged accountability and dismantled the institutions responsible for checking that corruption and overreach that they're committing. Trump has fired 17 inspectors general. He has installed cronies and sycophants at the Department of Justice who are willing to look the other way. His MAGA allies in Congress have enthusiastically ignored or approved of it. No hearings, no oversight, no checks and balances. And while states have limited abilities against federal immunity, we must remind everyone that this is not forever. There will come a time where people of good faith are empowered to uphold the law. When the time comes, Illinois will have the testimony and the records needed to pursue justice to its fullest extent. Today, I'm signing an executive order creating the Illinois Accountability Commission, a body dedicated to truth, transparency, and justice. The commission will be charged with 3 core missions. 1, creating a public record of the abuses. 2, capturing the impact on families and communities. And 3, recommending actions to prevent further harm and to pursue justice. The commission will be led by truly an extraordinary group of highly qualified leaders who reflect Illinois' deep expertise, integrity, and commitment to justice. With support from the Illinois Department of Human Rights, the commission will collect testimony, hold hearings, and gather information and firsthand accounts from individuals, community members, subject matter experts, local officials, journalists, faith leaders, and organizations. The commission and the records they gather will shine more light on the misconduct of Trump's federal agents. The Trump administration officials have demonstrated on more than one occasion that they are willing to lie to the public and the media to mask their misdeeds. They have already, and will continue to, cover up abuses of power, cross the legal limits of their authority, and attempt to justify dangerous attacks that threaten our people and our communities. We hope to reveal to the public, in Chicago, the state of Illinois, across the nation, and around the world, the facts on the ground about what is happening here. We intend to create a detailed record of the truth. And once this all ends, people of good faith will review what this commission has gathered and will demand accountability. Indeed, people are demanding that accountability even now. I'm glad to be joined here by members of the commission who all share a commitment to justice, transparency, and the rule of law. The Honorable Ruben Castillo will serve as chair. He served as a federal judge for the Northern District of Illinois for 25 years and served as the chief judge for 6 of those years. He served multiple terms on the U.S. Sentencing Commission, appointed by President Bill Clinton and then reappointed by President George W. Bush. He is a highly regarded leader who has received numerous law enforcement awards for his previous work in the Special Prosecution Unit of the U.S. Attorney's Office. Patricia Brown Holmes will serve as vice chair. She has experience on the bench and as a state and federal prosecutor, serving as a former associate judge in the Circuit Court of Cook County, an assistant U.S. attorney, and assistant state's attorney. I have also appointed 4 other commissioners, including Aurora Austriaco, commissioner of the Illinois Courts Commission and former commissioner for the Cook County Human Rights Commission. Professor Susan Zesch, former executive director of the Posen Family Center for Human Rights at the University of Chicago. Linda Tortolero, CEO of the Latino Policy Forum. And Cindy Sam, retired Chicago Police Department commander. I want to thank these distinguished volunteer leaders for their time and expertise in this very important cause. It takes a great deal of courage and commitment to serve in this capacity, and I am honored to have them with us in this important endeavor. The federal government has chosen to treat the people of this country as an adversary. It is pushing the boundaries of its authority, terrorizing our communities, and disregarding legal and moral accountability in the process. We will not meet intimidation with fear. We will meet it with truth. We can either let these abuses become our new normal and abandon the rule of law and our democratic values, or we can pursue real justice and accountability and transparency. We can do the work so those who break the law are held to account, so this chaos will stop, and so nothing like it ever happens again. Illinois is choosing our path, and I hope others who believe in the Constitution and the promise of America join us in doing so. The Commission has been tasked with finding opportunities to solicit information and allow the public to share testimony. To that end, I want to encourage all Illinoisans who have witnessed or experienced concerning conduct by federal agents to stay tuned at www.ilac.illinois.gov. I'm going to say that one more time, www.ilac.illinois.gov. Stay tuned there for details in the days and weeks ahead. Donald Trump is counting on your silence. We are counting on your courage. I look forward to taking your questions in a moment, but first let me hand the podium over to the Illinois Accountability Commission's chair, truly a leader and someone who will serve this state well in this role, the Honorable Ruben Castillo. Ruben?
Good morning. Thank you, Governor, for those kind words. I want to thank you.
LINOIS.gov. Stay tuned there for details in the days and weeks ahead. Donald Trump is counting on your silence. We are counting on your courage. I look forward to taking your questions in a moment, but first let me hand the podium over to the Illinois Accountability Commission's chair, truly a leader and someone who will serve this state well in this role, the Honorable Ruben Castillo. Ruben?
Good morning. Thank you, Governor, for those kind words. I want to thank you personally for putting together this needed commission to serve the citizens of Illinois during this difficult time. We both remarked before coming out here that we wish this didn't have to happen, but it does. I want to give my personal thanks to my fellow commissioners who have answered the call to serve. I'm deeply honored to serve as the chair with my esteemed vice chair, former Judge Patricia Holmes. Let me just tell you what this commission will not do. We're not going to debate the status of immigration law. That is not our role. That debate should be taking place in the halls of Congress. And yet we see where we are, a Congress that cannot fund government right now, let alone take on the difficult issue of immigration reform. This commission is also not about politics. It's not Democrats versus Republicans. Some are going to try and paint it that way, but this is not what this is about. So let me tell you what it is about. This commission is about civil rights. This commission is about the Constitution. This commission is ultimately about human rights. There's a lot of law enforcement experience on this commission. I myself spent 30 years enforcing the Constitution. As a prosecutor, putting my life on the line here in Chicago, as a federal judge, and as Governor Pritzker remarked, as chief judge. What has this experience taught me? Well, this experience has taught me that there is no frustration or anger exception to the Constitution. Just because someone gets upset or frustrated doesn't mean that they can violate the Constitution and hurt people, detain people, seize people, and even shoot people. We've had 2 shootings here in the Chicagoland area. We saw Mr. Villegas Gonzalez lose his life while he was backing up his vehicle. This is something the commission will certainly investigate further. And ultimately, I'm sure this will be a question for a court somewhere. But we will make a record of that. And if all of you have seen the sequence of events with regard to that particular shooting of an unarmed man backing up a vehicle where the agent himself says he's not seriously hurt on tape, there are serious questions about that shooting and that killing. We've also seen Miss Martinez on October 4th, shot repeatedly. How did that shooting go down? Well, just this past week, a supervisory agent says that all agents of ICE are ordered to wear body cameras before Judge Ellis even ordered that. And yet several of the body cameras with regard to that shooting event were not on. And then we learned that the vehicle that supposedly was collided upon was taken to the state of Maine. I will say this, in 30 years of law enforcement experience, pretty unusual events. And then we learned that the agent who did that shooting said something, expletive deleted, and then proceeded to use his automatic weapon to shoot this person repeatedly, even though she was not displaying any type of armed weapon at that point in time. So again, I will tell you, My granddaughter has a word for that. She would call it sketchy. And we will investigate that. But why people are answering this call from the governor is really to avoid these type of events. So the reason I'm here is because I don't want anybody else to be hurt. I don't want certainly anybody else to be killed. This just cannot be tolerated. I'm an old trial attorney, so I like to carry trial exhibits with me. I just brought one with me that I personally framed. This picture was on the Sun-Times. And I looked at this picture 100 times. Why is this man having a weapon pointed at him when he's surrounded by agents? What is the danger? How far away are we from him moving his finger in some fashion and seriously hurting a man who has his hands up? Is this the new normal? This cannot be the new normal in the United States of America or in Illinois. And that is what this commission will be investigating. So in the end, I'm glad Governor Pritzker mentioned shedding light, because I see the commission as a lighthouse. What does the lighthouse do? It sheds light on darkness. And there certainly seems to be, and I'm prejudging this, a lot of darkness going around that we've all seen on videos, photographs like the one I just showed you. Secondly, a lighthouse is a beacon, and that's what I see the commission doing, is coming out with a report and making recommendations so that the interaction between the federal government, where I worked for 30 years, and the state government, where I have lived all my life, can be better. It doesn't have to be an invasion of a military force going into hostile territory. But one will need to look at, and this is something the commission will look at, how did this come about? Who is saying what? Who is posting what? What is on social media? What are the leaders saying? I think just this past week, Judge Ellis asked a very relevant question. Has any agent ever been disciplined for any type of misconduct? And the answer came back a resounding no. And I think, unfortunately, that same answer applies to across the country. As I stand here, I think back to 4 months ago at a press conference similar to this, a senator, a U.S. senator, got up and tried to ask a question and was shoved to the floor. Has the agents who did that on CNN television, have they been disciplined at all for that? We will look at that. That's all I will say. But in the meantime, I ask three things of the public. Be patient for this commission. Be peaceful. You can protest, but it needs to be peaceful. Keep taking, as the governor said, those videos. And we pray for your help. We pray for your cooperation, because we will certainly need this. And with that, I'm going to call on our great Lieutenant Governor Stratton. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Good morning. I want to begin by thanking Governor Pritzker for his steadfast leadership during these unprecedented times. There's no better leader to steer Illinois as we navigate this crisis. I'd also like to thank the Honorable Ruben Castillo for meeting the moment and stepping up to chair this commission in the name of pursuing justice, accountability, and transparency. And thank you to all of the distinguished commissioners and other leaders standing with us today. Since the announcement of Operation Midway Blitz, ICE agents have operated in our streets with complete impunity. As a daughter and lifelong resident of the South Side of Chicago, it is hitting close to home. Today, I want to invoke the legacy of one of my sheroes, who once lived blocks from my home in the Bronzeville neighborhood, Ida B. Wells Barnett. Ida B. Wells was born into slavery and freed 1 year later. She was a trailblazing civil rights activist who, after the Springfield, Illinois race riots of 1908, helped found the NAACP. She was an investigative journalist who was committed to exposing the scourge of lynching